Good evening, everybody. I'm student meteorologist Sammy Squires.
And I'm student meteorologist Chris Knoll.
Well, today has definitely been an interesting day here in Tallahassee. We don't get a lot of these.
Yeah, this morning we woke up to some severe weather. Campus was actually closed until 8 o'clock. Had a class at
10 a.m.
10 a.m. My bad, 10 a.m. Had a class at 10:10, so my class wasn't canceled.
I was starting to get a little worried there because, it's still storming. It was 9 a.m. and I'm waiting to get a notification to see if my 10:10 class was canceled. Yeah. It didn't happen. The clouds started to go away for a bit, but then rain came back in our area actually in the mid-afternoon.
Yeah, however, the rain is probably not going to stick around. It's shaping up to be a fantastic Easter weekend.
Yeah, we're looking at tons of sun to come for the next few days, actually, due to a high-pressure system.
Yeah.
But it is nice out here now, other than the wind, though. I mean, it's very gusty outside.
Yeah, it's pretty gusty, but it's really nice in terms of general conditions, and I will send it over to Jake with the overview.
I think gusty is a pretty good word for it. We see that right now if we see our current conditions just about 6 o'clock here in the capital city. Winds out of the west-southwest. Even though that cold front has passed, still a westerly wind here, 25 miles per hour. We've seen gusts as high as 47 miles per hour after all those rain and all those thunderstorms moved out of our way. And you'll see those temperatures also starting to decline here. Down into those upper 60s, actually our daytime low already. Some spotty showers in the area, especially off to our northwest after we had that line of weaker rain move through around 1 to 2 p.m. But otherwise, partly cloudy skies for much of the region. We could see those clouds sticking around for the rest of the night tonight before this high pressure really slides its way eastward over Tallahassee into the weekend. And again, as they were saying back at the desk, setting up for just a perfection of an Easter weekend ahead. 77 degrees going to be the high on Easter Sunday. Bright and great sunshine going to be sticking around all the way into Monday with a warming trend to follow that here. So we'll see that again. Tranquil weather really continuing for the next 7 days. We'll break that down later on in the show, but for now we'll go back to the desk.
So this is actually our last segment of our Desk Metro.
Usually we pull out a random city out of our jar, but for next week, we're going to keep our city a secret, so you'll have to stay tuned for next Friday if you want to see what we're doing.
But for today, I'm going to be doing Memphis, Tennessee, so we'll have that forecast for you today, where they're actually getting quite a bit of rain right now due to the same front that passed through us here in Tallahassee. So for next week, though, it is our senior show.
So you will see our last runs of you can catch your favorite senior if you want to see him.
Sad. But yeah, we'll have that surprise city for you next week. Cities we've done like Cleveland, Chicago, St. Louis. I mean, we've done tons of cities here, and it will be sad seeing our seniors go and finishing this segment. But for now, Lawrence is going to give us a look at the local.
Yeah, thanks, Sammy and Chris. I know I'm looking forward to the senior show, but if you take a look at mainly today, it is hot, but not as hot as it has been recently, and not as hot as it will be continuing on into Friday. It has been 76 today for the high, 68 in the low, right when we had the showers, and that's nothing really compared to our average and our record high. I mean, look at that, 92 in 1942, and even 33 in 01. Can you imagine it being 33 in the middle of April? I know I personally can definitely not. Currently, it is 68 though. We're right near that low. It is partly cloudy and a little bit of winds. You can take a look at the sustained winds at 25 miles an hour. That's a lot of wind. And currently, conditions-wise, it is 68 in Tallahassee, a little bit warmer up into the Georgia area with Camilla, Thomasville, and Bainbridge, and a little bit cooler in our favorite city, Apalachicola, with 65 degrees. Our current dew points are a little bit muggy, but they are continuing to drop as we go into the overnight hours. So you have 48 in Tallahassee, 52 in St. Mark's, and about the same in Apalachicola with 47, and same all the way throughout Georgia and the rest of the southern part of Alabama. Our wind speed direction is coming from the west, so we have westerly wind directions, which will change as our high pressure system moves over us, and will continue to change as the low pressure system throughout moves even further. And taking a look at our satellite radar, it is pretty clear as of now. If you were outside during the rain, or if you were storm chasing like some of us here at FSU Weather, you would have noticed the rain that is currently crossed over, but it's still pretty clear for now, and we should not get much rain for the rest of the night. There will be a little bit of chance of showers, but nothing really you have to concern yourself with. There's that low pressure system that hit us earlier today and hit most of Missouri and the southeast. But the next system that's coming in is this high pressure system right over Texas. It's going to bring in cooler, drier air. It's going to clear up the skies just for a little bit up until the next weather system that's currently in the Pacific Northwest is going to hit us. These two low pressure systems are going to converge together and bring in rain and a little bit of more humidity and warmer temperatures as we move on into the rest of the week. And taking a look at the next 24 hours, the winds are going to change from that westerly direction to a little bit of more calm wind speeds and bringing it through as a little bit more northerly, so it's going to end up being northwesterly winds. As we go through the rest of Saturday, it's going to continue going through onto the west and bringing for a nice tonight's forecast with 50 degrees in Tallahassee and cooler up in the regions of Georgia. And a little bit of the same in Perry, Carabel, and Apalachicola with 51 through 53 degrees. And as you can see, Mariana is in the cooler area with 48. And if you're heading out to the beach this weekend, it is Easter weekend, and a lot of people are they have Monday off if they have work. I know currently here at FSU we do not have that Monday off. But if you are going out, it's going to be kind of cool, but it's still going to be a high UV index, so wear sunscreen regardless of how hot it really feels outside, because you're going to be tempted not to, but it's really important that you do. If you are taking your dog out for a walk throughout the weekend, today, tomorrow, this forecast specifically for tomorrow morning with 9 a.m. at 52 degrees, and it should warm up a little bit closer to 69, but nothing that's that outrageously warm, so you don't have to take your dog with a bunch of water. It's just going to be nice, cool, and collective. Tomorrow's forecast is going to be 70 degrees in Tallahassee and about the same throughout the rest of the region. And if you take a look at the week ahead, it's going to be cool as it warms up, and eventually we're going to get more rain on that Friday evening. But for now, I'm going to send it over to Angelo for a look at the southeast.
Thank you very much, Lorenz, and we are going to take a look at the southeast here. So we did have that front that moved through earlier, as we've mentioned throughout the show, and you can see those warmer temperatures in South Florida because they're ahead of that front, so they are getting those southerly winds that's bringing in that warm air and that moisture. But behind that front, we are starting to cool off. You can see 68 in Tallahassee, 56 in Montgomery, even 47 in Nashville. So they do have those winds out of the north, bringing them that more cooler, drier air. And out here in Texas, they do have a high pressure system over them, which is bringing clear skies and beautiful conditions, but slightly warmer temperatures as they do have some southerly winds, bringing in that warmth from the Gulf of Mexico. Current dew points, you can see that sharp contrast in moisture where we have ahead of that front dew points in the 60s and 70s, so a lot of moisture, but behind that front we're in the 40s and 30s, so much drier air, and that is going to start to filter in as we go later on into the weekend. You can see those winds though are very high, 25 miles an hour in Tallahassee, 22 in New Orleans, and you can see how they shift direction ahead of that front where they're from the south here but from the northwest here, so that is going to bring us those cooler conditions, but for the remainder of the evening pretty gusty outside, so be careful as you're driving or heading out tonight. For your satellite, we did have this low pressure system that came through earlier that brought us that unsettled weather this morning with this front, and you can see that even parts of South Florida are still getting that squall line, so you're not out of the woods just yet if you're in South Florida. But even for the southeast, for the remainder of the southeast, we do still have some showers that are moving through. But this high pressure system is going to build in this weekend, giving us a really lovely weekend, sunny skies, cooler weather, and much lower humidity. So definitely take advantage of the weather that's coming. We did have that severe weather, but fortunately it should start to clear out heading into the weekend. You can see, though, that we do have these showers that are moving through parts of the Carolinas. The yellow means a tornado watch, so there is still the potential for some severe weather in these areas. Behind that, mostly just some lighter showers, not much chance for severe weather, and we do still have some cloud cover associated with this front. Zooming further down, the red represents a tornado, severe thunderstorm watch, and you see we do have that squall line that's moving further into South Florida. So the threat really does continue. You can see these lightning strikes that are moving through, along with that very heavy rain, but clearing up behind it. So in Tallahassee, it should start to clear out by tonight, giving us a beautiful evening and a beautiful weekend ahead. For your next 24 hours, that front does start to move out. You can still see some showers that remain behind it, mostly because that cooler air moving over the warm Gulf waters will allow those clouds and precipitation to form. But as we head later, it should start to clear out. But those conditions will be a lot cooler than what we've experienced.
50 degrees for your low in Tallahassee, 40 in Nashville, as well as 52 in New Orleans. Those chances for rain do remain, especially as you get further east into the area, as they still have that front that is moving through. For your Atlanta Gulf forecast, it should be pretty rainy early on in the morning and chilly, but by 3 p.m. we should start to clear off, giving us a nice day. And for tomorrow, you can see warming into the 70s with even warmer temperatures up into Texas. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Jake with a look at Hurricane Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Angelo. And obviously, while the severe weather that we saw around Tallahassee and up into the mid-Atlantic is a big story today, there was another one that really came out earlier. At 10 a.m. this morning, the official report for Hurricane Michael was released by the National Hurricane Center. This is something that's been anticipated, obviously, for about 6 months, ever since its infamous landfall near Mexico Beach. And some big news out of that. Michael was upgraded to a Category 5 hurricane at landfall, and that is very historic. It is only the 4th Category 5 hurricane landfall on record in the United States, the first since Hurricane Andrew made landfall down in South Florida back in August of 1992. The only other 2 hurricanes on record were the Labor Day hurricane of 1935, as well as Hurricane Camille back in 1969. In total, this storm caused roughly $25 billion directly in damages, and an unsung part of this with the inland effects that Michael really produced was the agricultural and forestry losses, totaling over $3 billion in the states of Florida and Georgia alone. In total, Michael also led to 16 direct fatalities, as well as producing 16 tornadoes. And another fact that came out of this was the fact that Michael was actually upgraded to a Category 2 storm as it passed over the island of Cuba. As it moved just off to the west of it, we saw hurricane-force wind gusts that actually emerged on the western tip of the island of Cuba. So keep in mind here, the landfall intensity as a Category 5 was upgraded by about 5 knots from what we originally had in those initial advisories. And the reason for that was a detailed review that you pretty much go through from the Hurricane Center for all of these different tropical cyclones. Some will take longer than others, obviously, and we had available aircraft winds, surface observations, including those from NOAA stations, as well as from independent sources, such as storm chasers that put some instrumentation down in areas like Mexico Beach by Tyndall Air Force Base and the like. Also, with satellite and radar estimates, they were able to pretty much deduce that the winds were indeed a little bit stronger, albeit a very small area, especially confined to that Mexico Beach Tyndall Air Force Base area, where Hurricane Michael made landfall was really what experienced that. So keep in mind, these intensities tend to have essentially an uncertainty of about 10% or so. So we could actually see this change a little bit more as we go through the next, say, 6 months or so. They're going to keep looking at this with ongoing research being done to some of the instrumentation that is used to measure surface winds, because as it has been shown in the past, especially with the 2017 hurricanes, this SFMR, as it's called, I recommend checking it out. It's actually some really cool stuff. May have a high bias, maybe overestimating those winds with really strong tropical cyclones. So they're going to continue to research this, and of course, look out for an update from NOAA in the next few months about this. But for now, I'm going to go back out to the wall. We're going to talk about our national forecast here, seeing those current conditions, and I'm going to focus again on an area that Angelo already talked about extensively, because things are really picking up in the Carolinas in particular, especially North Carolina, moving up into Virginia now, where conditions are getting really intense here. You see the temperature at 59 degrees in Atlanta, moving up into those 60s and 70s as we go up towards Virginia and parts of North Carolina. Again, rainfall pretty heavy in some of these locations. Louisville and Memphis also getting a little bit of rainfall action. We'll get into that in a bit. But we see that well-defined cold front line separating the areas between the moist regions that you see in green, like Washington, D.C., moving down towards Raleigh and even down towards Columbia and Charleston in South Carolina. Behind that, much drier air starting to settle in as we saw that high pressure that was settled over Texas here. Many areas, even by the coast now, seeing dew points dropping into those 40s. Tallahassee, for example, has dropped about 25 degrees through the day with this quantity, again, a very good measure of how much moisture that we have at the surface. So much drier air beginning to settle into that region. And again, this high pressure will slide from Texas off to the east in the wake of this low pressure system over the next couple of days. And that is why we personally are going to be seeing some fantastic weather over the next 2 to 3 days, even really through the next week for us. However, as this low continues to spin off towards the Atlantic, we still see some rain behind it, especially in areas like Memphis, like Samuel will be getting to in just a little bit here, even up towards Cincinnati and into the northeastern states. Some lighter rain there, and of course, our big area that we're going to be watching is the Carolinas. In particular, an area from South Carolina all the way up through about the Washington, D.C. metro, where this yellow box currently indicates a tornado watch that is in effect. We see these discrete cells really embedded within this broader line of storms here. Some active tornado warnings out here in red. It is really a coloring book out there for all of the wrong reasons out there. And moving through some pretty populated areas like Raleigh-Durham over towards Tobacco Road, Winston-Salem, Chapel Hill, a bunch of college towns in those areas along Interstate 40 that were getting some intense rainfall earlier. And now we're starting to see tornado warnings popping up in areas of Virginia as well, a little bit to the south of Charlottesville, towards the University of Virginia, where FSU baseball is actually playing this weekend. Some inclement weather, obviously, in those areas. Dark red boxes indicating flash flood warnings, as well as severe thunderstorm warnings for the threat of damaging winds that you see in these orange boxes, including the Raleigh metro area and places just off to the east like Greenville. Also, a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for South Florida, down towards Palm Beach and even towards Collier counties, with that line that we saw this morning continuing to trudge its way through the rest of the state of Florida. Over the next 24 hours, this will move offshore. Still could see some rainfall through the rest of the night into the mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley. Areas like that, a severe threat will begin to thankfully dissipate a little bit. We see some rainfall continuing in the Intermountain West up towards the Pacific Northwest as well, but for a good chunk of really the entire central portion of the country, tomorrow's shaping up to be a much better day and a much needed, pretty calm day for you guys out there. For tonight's forecast, though, still looking at some rainfall in areas like Louisville, Memphis, areas, other portions of Tennessee like Nashville. But for tomorrow, we're going to see those calmer conditions starting to settle in for the central portion of the country. Still a threat of rainfall and some cooler temperatures lingering where that low is currently stationed. And we'll see that 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, expecting warmer than average temperatures, as we'll see in that 7 day later on for us here in Tallahassee, to really be settling into a bigger portion of the country over the next week to week and a half or so. But now let's go to Memphis with Sammy.
All right, thank you so much, Jake. So looking at Memphis, we are seeing some rain right now. Over near Memphis, it is around 46 degrees. A fair amount of rain actually coming down due to that cold front that is still making its way out of the region. They're just getting some lingering showers. Behind that, though, we're expecting plenty of sun. These dew points are actually fairly low out right now, looking mostly in the 40s. So that's actually very nice feeling. Other than the rain, I mean, at least you don't have that stickiness that's associated with rain usually. So wind speed, it's not as high as it is here in Tallahassee, but you are definitely feeling some breezy air right now, looking at 13 miles per hour over in Memphis, 15 over in Batesville. So pretty much sticking around those teens for their wind speed. You really start to feel that over about like 10 miles per hour. So it is kind of gusty outside. That's associated with the rain that is starting to make its way out of the area. But I mean, in some parts there is quite a bit of rain coming down further east of the city. So that rain is going to start to make its way out of the region. Those clouds will start to stick its way through the remainder of the night, but behind that we do have this high pressure system that will come forward and bring plenty of sun for the next few days. Now, so once this rain starts to make its way out of the area, you could start to see those clouds making its way out and fairly nice conditions in Saturday morning. So if you have any plans in the early morning, don't worry, the rain will be gone for the remainder of the day too. For tonight's forecast, looking around the 40s for overnight temperatures, expect that rain to start to go away and the clouds to stick around for the night. So looking in those 40s, but by tomorrow, warming up to about 68 degrees and sunny. So it's going to be beautiful out tomorrow. Lots of sun on the radar for tomorrow. Our weekend forecast, looking at Saturday, beautiful 68, and by Sunday, warming up to 77 degrees. These morning temperatures are going to be quite chilly, though, in the 40s. But now I'm going to hand things off to Lorenz.
Thanks, Sammy. Memphis was amazingly beautiful, but here at our home state of Florida, it's still going to be a lot hotter than any of the regions north in the southeast, and specifically in our city of Tallahassee. It's going to be the cooler part of that hot region. It's going to be 68 degrees in Tallahassee, and it's of course going to be really warm in the southern parts of Florida. Currently our dew points are pretty dry. We have 48 in Tallahassee, a little bit warmer, a little bit more muggy in the southern parts of Florida, even extending into areas of central Florida, including Orlando, Daytona Beach, and the Melbourne area. Wind speed and direction, currently we have northerly wind flow coming in on the eastern side of Florida, and we have that westerly flow coming from that low pressure system that just passed by and the high pressure system sitting over Texas, bringing in westerly winds with a little bit more moisture into the central region of Florida, as we saw with our dew points. And we have our rainstorm system hitting the central and southern part of Florida, bringing in those severe thunderstorm watches and warnings. And we take a closer look into our region, the Panhandle, including Pensacola and Tallahassee. It is pretty clear. There's a chance of scattered showers and storms for the rest of tonight, but mainly it's going to be clear. Specifically in our region near the I-10 corridor, it's going to be completely clear. You shouldn't really have to worry. But if you really want to worry about it, bring an umbrella. You're probably not going to need it. Tonight's forecast, it is going to be cool, 50 degrees in Tallahassee. It's going to be 50 degrees, same in Pensacola and Mariana with 48 degrees, and Apalachicola with that 53. Satellite radar showing that we have storms hitting a little bit of Jacksonville, mainly the Central Florida area. It's going to continue through the Daytona Beach section, and a little bit's going to hit Tampa, as you see it when it's playing. And you can still see those warnings down in the southern parts. Tonight's forecast for the northern and central parts of Florida include 52 degrees for Jacksonville, 59 degrees for Spring Hill, and 60 degrees for Orlando, with a little bit warmer regions such as Gainesville and the Ocala area. And satellite radar for the southern part of Florida shows that that's where the majority of the rain is going to hit. It's going to increase the cool temperatures for tonight, and it's going to bring in more rain for the rest of the next 24 hours. And tonight's forecast for that region specifically, it's going to be a little bit cooler due to that radiative cooling, bringing more radiation from the ground. And the next 24 hours shows that there's going to be more storms coming in and a little bit more of those scattered showers as we see coming off the Gulf Coast. But for now, I'm going to take it over with Angelo to talk about the events that we're going to have in Tallahassee.
Thank you, Lorenz, for that great look at Florida. And we do have a lot of events this weekend, so we're hoping that the weather will comply with those, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I know we have women's golf coming up. Our producer here at FSU Weather loves for us to talk about golf.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's no other sport that comes before golf,
There's
right?
no other golf. Men's golf is also playing.
Yep, men's golf is playing. There we go. So we
There's
have
the women's golf.
Women's ACC Championship tomorrow. 59 degrees, but there will be those showers in the afternoon, so some delays might happen there.
Yeah, hopefully no one's tee time is too late, but if that does come into effect, then there is that.
And we also have the men's ACC Championship. High of 60 degrees with those showers in the afternoon as well. But there will be some sun in the morning, so hopefully earlier in the day, not too many delays.
And the wind doesn't look like it's going to be too bad with 12 miles an hour. I know currently here we have like 32 miles an hour, so it's a big difference compared with North Carolina. And then we got softball, FSU versus Boston College. That's going to be going on throughout Saturday and Sunday. It shouldn't be too bad because we are playing here at the Seminole Sports Complex.
Right, it looks like a beautiful weekend for that.
Oh, yeah. And but for now, we're going to actually send it over to Chris to take a look at our local region.
All right, thanks. Well, we're not quite at 32 miles an hour winds. We only got 25 right now. That's still a lot higher than what we usually have. And currently it's 68 degrees. We've got a pretty good view of the sun from Doak Campbell Stadium. Zooming in on current conditions. Right now, 68 in Tallahassee. A little bit warmer at the coast at St. Mark's. And our favorite city, Apalachicola, sitting at 65 degrees right now. Moving in on our dew points, that low pressure system dropped a lot of the moisture out of our atmosphere, so we're sitting pretty nice at 48 degrees right now. Moving on over to where the front is, closer towards Perry, it's still at the edge of it. Most of it is out there, but it's still a little bit higher at 52 degrees right now. Wind speed directions, we're experiencing very strong winds right now, as you can see with these winds zooming through from the west, coming out from the west and passing into the satellite and radar. We still have this small front that came through. This was what gave us the little second storm that happened midday today. But looking on over through much of today has happened. This is clear skies, not too many clouds going through. This high pressure system is what's going to give us a beautiful Easter weekend. And the low pressure system with these fronts over here, this is what gave us the severe weather, as you've heard multiple times on the show already. So zooming in on the next 24 hours, it's looking really nice. Maybe a few scattered showers passing on through tonight. Definitely a nice day to go out. Currently right now is 48 degrees, partly cloudy, winds from the west going at 4 miles an hour. A lot lower than what it was earlier at 25. And tomorrow's forecast, sitting at a cool 69 degrees, mostly sunny, cool and breezy, 14 miles an hour winds. These strong winds will not be lasting long. Going into our Radar Cup, because we are golf fanatics here at FSU Weather, as I have to move to the other side of the screen real fast. Sitting at tee time at 8 a.m., it's going to be pretty chilly at 49 degrees, as it will start warming up, not cooling, warming up as we move in later in the day. For the week ahead, as I'll slowly be walking back on over here, it will be beautiful Easter weekend, sitting at 77 degrees on this Sunday for Easter Sunday. Very warm. This is from the high pressure system that will be dominating us for most of next week and the next. There will be a low front that will be coming in, and it will, not a low front, a low pressure system be coming in, and that's will slowly be bringing in these chances of storms this Friday. But for now, I'm gonna send things back over to the desk with Lawrence and Sammy.
Thanks, Christopher. Taking a look at that 7-day, it is going to look absolutely beautiful as we move on into the next couple of weeks, but specifically this week.
I mean, it really looks like our next chance of severe weather is next Friday, a whole week from today. So
Right.
That's a full week without rain.
Giving us a nice little break to study, catch up on our work. Definitely here at FSU, we're going to be taking finals in about a week, so we're very glad that it's going to be nice, warm weather if you want to go out to Landis.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of our last weeks here for the remainder of the semester until finals, but it will be a nice week here.
Yeah, I mean, as Chris was saying, it is going to cool down on Saturday with that 69 degrees, going into 46 for that night. And it's going to warm up as we go into Monday and Tuesday with that high pressure system from Texas currently pulling in some of that warmer air and, really clear skies.
Yeah, there is a huge temperature gradient in between Saturday all the way to Tuesday, looking at 69 all the way to 86 degrees.
That's a huge difference.
You do get that varies of temperatures, which is nice.
Yeah, and then it's going to continue into the 86. It's going to be hot basically Tuesday through Friday and continue with the rain that you were mentioning on Friday. But if you want to stay tuned with any of that, hit us up on Twitter.
And like us on Facebook. We show shows Monday through Friday on YouTube.
Yeah, and if you're watching us right now on YouTube, thank you very much. And send us pictures of your lovely day for the next week on Instagram at FSU Weather.
Send us your dog pictures at the park. I mean, It's going to be beautiful these next few days. So we love to see them. We love to post about them as well.
We will definitely retweet you, and hopefully we might even be able to show whatever pictures you send on the show, especially if you took any pictures from the storm that happened yesterday and this morning, or if you're going to take pictures from next Friday.
But hey, for all of us here on FSU Weather, I'm student meteorologist Sammy Squires.
And I'm student meteorologist Lawrence Torres-Leshnick. Have a great night.